It's a pleasure to be here. What a beautiful morning. I drove up yesterday, thanks to Sinna for letting us sleep at your home. A bit of Daryl Brathwaite came on the radio, horses. That was a great part of yesterday on the way up here. I also had the pleasure of catching a preview of Mick Sheeter's solo show that opens tonight. So if you're in the Valley, it opens at This Must Be the Place. Go check that out. Heap of stuff on. Brisbane's got some great energy at the moment. Has anybody noticed that a lot of things are just kicking bloody goals at the moment? It feels really good. I'm actually not a local. I base myself in Toowoomba, but I have the pleasure of travelling here monthly, at least for various projects. I'm a bit nervous. Cool. This is the introduction part, so I'm going to talk a bit about me. I'm a curator full-time. It feels pretty cool to say that. For the last 3 and a bit years, I've been a director of a creative space in Toowoomba called Contraband Studios. As a part of that, we host an annual... Thank you. I speak very quickly. I'm sorry. It's a bad habit. An annual street art festival in Toowoomba as well called First Coat, as well as contributing a portion of my time, which I love, to the Design Conference and the Analog Digital Agency, and most recently Analog Gallery. I'm going to give a cheeky plug to that at the end too, just to keep you aware. A part of this was doing a bit of research for myself and going back through some archives. So you're going to see some pretty average photography for over the last 3 years. It's not a strength of mine. Beautiful, but this month's theme on transparency, there was, to be honest, a little bit of feeling of being overwhelmed about this topic. Just the idea of standing in front of you and being transparent. I don't know if that weirds you guys out. Cool, so I made a few notes here. Transparency equals being seen through. Transparency equals information, honesty, are willing to share, being accountable. Transparency is also really scary. Today I'm going to do my best to share a transparent account of my journey. It's quite short. I don't have a great deal of life experience. I'm 26, but I'm going to do my best to share a bit about how that's operated for me so far. Beautiful. I've already talked about the bad photos coming up. Slide change. Technology is awesome. Cool, so human behaviour tells us that we like people that are transparent. It's about being real. I'm going to do my very best to be real with you today. As I said, I've had 26 years, nearly going on 27 years around the sun, and I still have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, generally speaking. I hope that's comforting. It's certainly sometimes comforting for myself. I've been in an arts-focused career for 4-ish years. I don't think you count uni, so four's solid. And I've had very little experiences to date. But to talk about how it got started, I think I've got some great pictures here. This is one of my graduating artworks, flashback. So I came straight out of high school. I was 17, no clue. This is a reoccurring theme throughout the talk, by the way, just get comfortable with that. 17, finishing high school. Side note, I recently gave a talk to a senior class, and that was far more comfortable than this was. But I was, straight out of school, bit of pressure to get my life started, and I jumped straight into a visual art degree. For me, I was always passionate about the arts. I loved making stuff. I loved the idea that it was fun at the same time as well as fulfilling. So I jumped straight into a career, but or a degree, I should say, not knowing what my career would be out of that. I had my very traditional grandma on one side being like, what happens after you do that degree? Are you going to be a teacher? It took me 5 years to finish a 3-year degree. That's a true story. I was intensely passionate. I would put my time to absolutely anything, and I really did think I still think that I was having a pretty good crack at life. At this time I was volunteering a stack. A part of that was putting my time to the regional art gallery that's based locally, learning how to do formal, in an institution, how to hang work properly and how to store work and all those traditional ways in an institution, how to do things the right way. Also at the same time I was donating my energy to artist-run initiatives. R is, much like the CreativeMornings team, a bit DIY and learning the opposite way to do things. So hanging artwork with blue tack, learning how to run a bar, get people to your events, bad marketing, all of that stuff. And at that time, I was finishing up with my degree and I started working alongside 2 other locals who had started an aerosol store. It was a 4x4 metre squared box. I think there was about 6 tins of paint on the shelves. It was a pretty beautiful thing. I don't have photos of that, I'm sorry, it's tragic, can't show you. But beautiful at the same time. And during this time, I actually started doing pop-up exhibitions in a foyer space that didn't have a great deal of wall space, but had all the heart. It was brilliant. And that for me was seeing my own community come out for things that we'd planned, really started stirring some pretty cool things for me. Awesome. So this came up in my feed recently, for those of you who know Dahlia, wherever she is in the world, Canada, I think. I personally hadn't been to Sex, Drugs and Helvetica. I'm not a design person, it's not my strength. But this has really stuck with me. They've recently come to an end with their conference, but this quote's really stuck with me. Some of the most interesting and valuable moments come about when you decide to act on an idea, not because you know how to do it, but because you care about it. And that is really ringing true, I feel. Acting on an idea and following your gut intuition over a business plan. I don't have formal training in events management or a startup business. I have a visual arts degree majoring in sculpture. That's helpful. But I have a hell of a lot of ideas, time and passion, and that's been very much the foundation and where it started. So just to recap and come back to the idea that there was just, not much when we first started. And this is exactly what it looked like. Here's one of those bad photos. Awesome. 3 years ago, we got the keys and started a 3-year lease on a venue that looked just like this. I've actually made a note here with WTF, who would do that? We found this little gem online. We're like, we have to see this. And it was, for me, it was a symbol of all of the things that we could do and wanted to do. We'd seen how our community was coming out for a very small version of it, and we had all these plans to do it 10 times bigger. Just to come back to that idea of how we felt comfortable with getting on board with signing up to this. I'd been, unknowns to myself, I'd been building a community around myself through all of this volunteering we were doing, these small pop-up exhibitions in a foyer space. We also had the pleasure, while the 2 boys that we were working with at the time, it was in a hybrid arts collective, so we already had a community behind us. It wasn't out of nowhere, much like how we are here today, which is really beautiful. It was a hybrid art space that was running out of Toowoomba at the time that had dance and circus and an art gallery and drama classes and workshops and an artist residency, and us as this little store and pop-up space. And we just saw how they were doing it and how awesome that was and how we wanted to do it differently for ourselves. So this is also how it looks now, sort of. A bit different, flashback to how it was in the beginning. This on the left is the aerosol store in the front of the shop. It's pretty, that apricot, horrendous. Beautiful, it says now make a start about how you got started, excellent. We were 3 people with a mixed skill set. I had, as I said, I majored in sculpture, that was pretty cool. We had a screen printer and we had a sign writer, and the 3 of us were like, yeah, all right, we got this. Going, have a crack at life. Awesome, I've said that. Beautiful, so this is the gallery as it is now. It's a little rough around the edges, but it has a lot of heart, which is really nice. Just wanted to touch on, this is the first ever Instagram post I ever did. Great quality. It's not the projection, it's definitely my phone and skills. In 2013, not to get a bit emotional with the 80-odd people I don't know very well, but I actually had the pleasure of sitting in the audience, like yourselves this morning, of a creative conference known at the time as Analog Digital, and we would now know it as the Design Conference Brisbane. Kevin Finn of the Sum Of got up and said this: make a contribution to where you live. In amongst that, I had the pleasure of hearing some of my creative heroes, CEOs of huge design companies and artists that were just slaying it in the industry, and connecting dots for myself and going, this is the best thing I've ever heard. That was the first time I got to hear firsthand from my peers or people I looked up to how you do it. Like, make all those mistakes, all of those excellent cliches, inspirational stuff. But at 22, that was all I needed to hear to sign up to 3 years of a space that looked like that. Where are we? Okay, good, I'm awesome with this. First time. Cool, but 3 years is a long time. Does anyone ever sign up to a phone plan and be like, 2 years, far out, we're gonna... All right, be 22 and sign up to a 3-year lease of a place that looked like that. For me, actually, I've had a really nice time reminiscing on, what's this? 178 weeks ago, that post. Beginning of Instagram for me. Wow, what am I doing with my time? Cool, I've got a clip for you guys. This is put funny, comical little skits in your talk. People like that, so that's for you guys. Cool, so this was totally me. Year one. Oh, you should have seen the shoebox I kept our receipts in. It was a beautiful thing. I'm sorry to our accountant. Awesome. As much as I'd like to think I have my shit together now, there's still very much elements of this that is still me. And don't be afraid if that's you too. Oh, I'm going to play it again for you. No, there we go. So from the very beginning, and the reason why we started this idea of making a contribution, it was pretty overwhelming. I was so young and so ambitious and really just wanted to make an impact. We were living in a regional city. Perhaps in some ways Brisbane can relate to how we were feeling because it's the little sister of Sydney and Melbourne, and it's not the creative one out of Australia. But for regional cities, Toowoomba had not a great deal going on. I felt as a young person, as a young creative person, there wasn't things happening that I wanted to go to. The options were seeing a metal band or a rock band at the local pub, and that was in pretty quick. So I was essentially at the time interested in making a place that I wanted to live in. And for me, 4 years on, which is hard to say because far out, time goes fast, things definitely change. And to come and talk about my values very quickly, I definitely value time differently. I can't give my love to every single project and every single great idea. I also want different things, and I value balance. I value spending a week in the desert or a month overseas as much as I value my career. Very early on, I was so focused on being career-driven and to make a great career for myself. You know, it's almost pushed upon us. Finish school, get a degree, be the CEO of Nike or something. But now I'm just driven to kind of make a great life for myself. This is where I talk about being human. Transparency is appealing because it's human. I'm a human, you're all humans. My dog Polly thinks she's a human. She's not a human, hey Pete. Part of being human is not being perfect, but that's a little part about it. When we were starting out and I was young, I was almost stupid enough to give it a go, or I was young enough to just give it a go. And to just dream big. And I honestly felt at the time that I was bulletproof. I was building something, and I thought that if I could think something, I could honestly make it happen. That might have been spending too much time with Matthew Haynes, if anyone's done that. It's very, very contagious. But also, I really did feel like I could make an impact. Everything was smooth sailing. I was kicking goals, having an absolute blast, and high-fiving people on the way. This is when I talk about failure. And when I was building all of this and having all of these dreams and feeling like I was making small successes in my career, I honestly didn't know that I could fail yet. And then it happened. I'm going to talk now under the banner of being transparent. And I just explain a little bit about a personal failure that I feel. So for me, and some of you who I don't know in the room, who asked me what I do this morning, is run this annual festival called First Coat. So in our first year, it was just the most amazing thing. You have an idea, you act on it, and people get behind you, and it turns from being something like this to something like this. In our second year, we went from this to like this, and it was just an addiction. It was, like I said, living in a regional place and not having an abundance of awesome things to access all of the time. This time of year was the thing for me. We had people travelling from all over the world, artists from the States and Italy and wherever else, and all over Australia, to not just come and paint, but to see people paint and be a part of this. It was awesome. And then year 3 ticked around, and I decided, I want this, or everything has to be twice as big every year. I'm setting these goals for myself. So for me, when I went from having a 3-day festival to going, shit, let's do it for 10 days, let's have 2 weekends, let's do everything. For me, I didn't get that burst of people through the city. I didn't see those people that I hadn't met yet walking around the laneways and engaging with art and travelling to see our event. So for me, that was a bit of a reminder about my values, and that I really do value progression and a sense of achievement, and that's perhaps failure is a strong word for that. And as the saying goes, being your own worst critic and all of that jazz, that's just how I felt about it, and at times still do. So this whole time, 4 years in, it's only biting off huge chunks and chewing like crazy. So It was just like I had something to prove. And I kind of still feel like I do have something to prove. Topically, I have to prove that art is not a lifestyle choice. Thank you. Wow. Cool. That our industry does make a difference, that I can make a difference, and that art connects people. I value feeling connected to the team that I work with, to the artists that I have the pleasure of doing projects with, to the industry that I represent, and connected to my community. As much as I have moments of being unsure about myself or the projects that I'm doing in my life, I'm also surrounded by my heroes. This is where I get really cheesy, talk about I can really call on these people, and when I don't know what I'm doing, I can pick up the phone and go, how do you do this? That's actually invaluable. When there's no guidebook or a direct path to your goals, there is support. That's a pretty cool thing as well. I've been finding my feet in this industry for 4 years and also finding my tribe at the same time. It's a bit gushy, but I really do believe that. Cool, so wrapping up and going from like failure to something nice, because I've been told like you bring them down but then you bring them back up again. This is the part where we go back up. Icebreaker, cool. Sorry about making you write on your thing this morning. It's a thing that we do each month with Creative Mornings, I believe. At the risk of sounding cheesy, I didn't want to jump in and say, what do you believe in? And then I also heard that that was Matt's on his first month. That was his icebreaker. Or what gets you out of bed in the morning? All of these things. Instead, I went with, if you accidentally joined a cult, what would they worship? I think essentially I'm asking the same thing, just being averted about it. But I find cults just really fascinating as a side note anyway. Like I've watched a few docos on it. Have you noticed? Has anyone done that? People have no idea they're in a cult. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. It actually like dumbfounds me that they can spend 10 years devoting their time to one person or a community and building something. And then on the other side of it, when they finally like all snap out of it or are aware of what's happened, it's like just a devastating thing. Anyway, so people just have no idea. I don't know why that is. But maybe that comes back again to personal values, achieving them as a group, feeling connected, making a contribution, and the idea that the world is bigger than you. And I think I've got a definition of what a cult is here. A person or a thing that is popular or fashionable among a particular group or a section of society. So if all of this, feeling connected, making a contribution, the idea that the world is bigger than you, if that is what a cult is, then I can totally relate. When you believe in something and you work really hard at it, there are multiple parallels with cults. I've been consumed by my own beliefs and goals. I'm not sure if that's relatable. I might actually be in a cult right now. The cult of Creative Mornings, the cult of good company, perhaps. Or my own cult, population of 1, that's okay. Awesome, so I'm not Jim Jones and it's not the 50s, sorry to drop that in there, but there is still that profound philosophy of wanting to make an impact, to make work that matters, to connect with people and feel understood. I think that for me, in going back through, to recap, transparency equals the playing field and it humanises our experiences, so I hope that you feel that that's been this today for you guys, and that's me. In wrapping up, just a quick little plug, our next exhibition down at Analog Gallery in the Fortitude Valley. It's a solo show by a local artist, her name is Buttons. That'll be awesome. Tonight there's also a great print show over at Jugglers or at Junkie Comics. There's a photography exhibition called B&E Girls. Get out, do it all. You guys have so much on offer, it's outrageous. Thank you, cool.